Fresh is the word.
Welcome to episode number 2 of the Fresh is the Word podcast. I'm your host, K Fresh. First off, I'd like to thank everybody for a successful launch of the first episode. I got a lot more plays than I thought I would, a lot of feedback, a lot of chatter around the city. Thanks for everybody who shared it on their social medias. Thanks for just the listens. I was very overwhelmed. It was crazy. So we're just going to keep it moving. This week's guest is the band One Eyed Doll. The two members of the band, Junior and Kimberly Freeman, I was able to talk with them over the phone before they came into town to do a show at the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan. And they were just so fucking wonderful to talk to. And their show was really kick-ass. There was props. It was just fun. They really truly give a fuck about their fans. You know, even Kimberly, stayed afterwards to talk to anybody that wanted to stick around and talk to her, meet her, take pictures, get autographs. It was just, cool as shit, They got a new album out. It's called Witches. And before we get into the interview, I'm going to go ahead and play a song from the album, my favorite song. And we're going to talk about the actual making of the album and this song in particular. The song is called A Rope for Mary. So let's go ahead and play the song and get into the interview.
Mind left to ponder.
Nice to meet y'all.
We appreciate you doing the interview.
Oh, no problem. I came across actually the publicist hit me up recently and gave a listen to the Witches album. I'm like, this is pretty dope album, man, and I've been listening to it a lot lately.
Oh my gosh, thank you very much. Do you have a favorite song so far?
What I like is, let me see. I think my favorite off that is A Rope for Mary.
Oh, nice. Thank you. You know, that was the song that started the whole album.
Okay, cool.
I guess I should probably save it for the interview, huh?
Oh no, that's not. That was a great segue into the interview, actually. You know, this Witches album is a concept album. How did that all come about?
Well, actually, now that you mention it, I came across the story of a lady who lived in the late 1600s in Salem, whose name was Mary Esty. And she was one of the people who was executed for witchcraft during the Salem witchcraft hysteria of 1692. And, you know, her story just inspired me to write a song, and that song was A Rope for Mary. And I kept reading about her and doing more and more research about the events surrounding her death. And I learned a lot about the Salem witchcraft hysteria. And the more I read, the more I wrote. And I was just really interested in what went on, all the characters of the story, the executed people, the townsfolk who were just losing their minds, the children who started the whole thing. And so I just kept writing, and then the next thing you knew, I had the whole Witches album, you know, totally written. And a little bit previous to this, Jason and I had finished the tour and were camped out in the redwoods in our tour bus.
Okay.
And playing acoustic instruments in the woods. And, you know, most of the music came from that time of us just jamming in the woods. And then we put it together with these lyrics and melodies that I wrote about the Salem witchcraft hysteria, starting with A Rope for Mary. And boom, concept album. It was really fluid. It was like writing one song, really.
Great. How did you go about, you know, piecing that music and those lyrics together to create like this story throughout the album?
Maybe that's a producer question.
Well, we basically the story goes that a lot of the music started out in the redwoods. We basically were living in our tour bus between tours, and we decided to park in the redwoods just outside of Santa Cruz, California. And it's a really magical place. And, you know, Kimberly was playing a lot of banjo at the time, and I had just bought a mandolin.
Right, and we were both raised mostly in the Pacific Northwest, so, you know, we both have a deep connection to that part of the country and to the redwoods.
Yeah, I actually spent every summer at this kind of summer camp out there in the redwoods, so it's really magical, you know, just going out there and being underneath these trees that you just can't see the top of. They're so massive, you know. They're like big enough that you can make a tunnel and drive a car through them, you know. So we had written a lot of just the music tracks out there with acoustic instruments, almost like bluegrass style. And we just recorded just instrumental tracks. We recorded them on our phone. Whenever we got a cool idea, we would just, you know, kind of put the idea down. And then when she started writing the lyrics to the music, you know, the lyrics about the Salem witchcraft hysteria, you know, we were kind of, we were in a different place. We were in a rehearsal studio where we had drums and loud guitar and all that stuff that we could totally rock out. So
yeah, and they were letting us live in their parking lot. And so we were parked out in their parking lot next to a junkyard.
Okay.
So it was a complete contrast from where the music was written, and then the lyrics were then written with different scenery.
Yeah, so you can really hear that in the album, I think. I mean, there's this kind of back and forth between the acoustic kind of forest vibe and the just kind of metal rock vibe. So, she literally wrote these songs over the course of about 3 days, and so when we went to record it, it was more like just recording one long song, like a 45-minute song, and I don't know if you're aware of the process of recording. Usually you record a song on a separate project. It's like
Right.
You go to your computer and you make a song and it's in a separate project. For this album, we actually recorded the whole thing in a single project. So you'll hear all the transitions between the songs. There wasn't any editing to do that. It just literally, we recorded it from beginning to end, all as a single piece. So.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about, how did you come up with laying down that soundscape that was on this album? You're varying from the metal to the bluesy rock to the folk. So that's very interesting that you just did it all kind of like all at once.
Yeah, and the really cool part about that was that we were able to do. If you listen to the album, you'll notice that sometimes there's a vocal melody that is the same as a guitar part that's on a different part of the album, or there's a solo that references the vocal melody, or basically throughout the album there's a lot of examples where we kind of took a part from one song and made a different part out of it, and that was really fun, I think.
Right, and I think that it gives the album unity, and it helps to tell the story, because it's it's sonically representing itself in different parts, but then also emotionally. It'll I kind of hope that when you hear a melody from earlier in the album later on with different instruments, maybe in a different key, in a different part of the album, it will it'll cause you to remember what was going on earlier, kind of. It's a reference, and it's a clue that, what I'm talking about here is kind of what I'm talking about here, but maybe from a different perspective.
Right.
So it's really nerdy. But we really enjoyed, it was a treat to make. It was just really natural and organic. And we really did this one for ourselves. We had been touring so hard and working a lot, and we just really needed to make some nice music that we really love, the way that we wanted to make it. It's not, we didn't make it to be marketable.
Right.
We didn't make it to sell to other people. It's it is what it is, and we were just, we always hope that what we do will be well received, but we didn't really expect it to be this time. But it really has been. It has been well received, and I'm grateful for that.
That's great. Yeah, the whole topic of the Salem witches is, it's always long been a subject of many movies and TV shows. And earlier you said that you just caught onto the story somewhere. Was there a particular movie or TV show or book where you found this story at?
No, it was the internet. Thank you, internet.
So you're just cruising on the internet?
Yeah, I don't know how it happened, but I ended up on a research article on Mary Esty, and then, that led me to another, and then that led me to another, and then that led me to a university website, and then that led me to the scans of the court documents, and, it went on and on. You know how it happens.
Yeah.
It's like the YouTube spiral that happens.
Yeah, that wormhole.
Like that with research materials. But I actually wrote all the lyrics out on a certain page of our website and included the research links, some of the research links that I used. It's funny because, a good way into writing the album, I realized that I should be saving all of these links and references because other people might be interested in them. So I started saving them at a certain point. So it's not a complete, bibliography, but it's there.
Right. This story being told on this album, what perspective is it being told?
Actually, it's from a lot of different perspectives. It's interesting, because it started out from the ghost of Mary Espy. It started out from her perspective. She's looking back on her life and what happened, and but as I kept writing, I kind of started using different perspectives. So some songs, like Witch Hunt, are from the frightened villagers' perspective.
Okay.
Just the townsfolk, the people who were killing their neighbors out of fear. And, one song, the song begins with Ember, or the album begins with Ember, which is a song from the afflicted girl's perspective. Basically, there were these young girls who started the whole thing. They started acting out and having fits, which looked like possession, and they were accusing people in the town of afflicting them with their witchcraft, and that's how this whole thing started. So the first song is those girls, and they're acting out and they're describing what they're going through. So that's Ember. And then, Prayer is from the townsfolk at church, and there was a preacher in that town, Salem Parish, who was just an awful person, obviously, and he was a fearmonger.
Yeah.
And he scared people into being absolutely insane. And the way that the Puritanism was, it's an extremist religion. And it's basically, people were so scared of going to hell, and they were so scared of Satan sneaking up on them and taking their children, and they had to punish themselves constantly, and they had to live in piety, and they, kids couldn't even really play with toys, and you couldn't sing, and you couldn't dance, and it was just this very oppressive religion. And that's what Prayer is about, is that the progress of people's piety and fear turning into murderous intentions.
Right.
It's all in the name of God. It's always in the name of God. So, and then there were different characters in the story whose perspectives the songs took on. The Ghost of Gallows Hill is from the perspective of several people who were executed. More Weight is from the perspective of the people who crushed a man who was accused of witchcraft. They crushed him with stones. And, this guy's story is pretty cool. His last words were "more weight."
Oh.
And, that was, I'll send, when you get the link, look up Giles Corey. That was him. He was one of the many people who were brutally murdered.
Okay.
But yeah, there are a lot of different perspectives. It's not just from one. I kind of wanted to have a broad storytelling session with this, so it skips around a little bit. Do you ever, how I don't know if this happens with you, but in dreams,
yeah,
I often will skip around to different people's perspectives.
That does kind of happen to me sometimes, and it confuses the shit out of me, and then I'm like...
one moment you're you, but maybe you're somebody else, and then at the next moment you're somebody else, that is involved in the story plot, and then you might be a bird, or I do this thing where I skip around a lot in my dreams, different perspectives, and so I feel like I can kind of see more of the story that way.
Right.
It's kind of like that, I guess.
No, understandable.
That was a long answer. I'm so sorry. You can feel free to edit me down as much as you want.
It's all good. It's all good. Kind of moving to the band itself. The whole One-Eyed Doll thing. Definitely have a unique look and sound. Is that more of an extension or exaggeration in any way to your real life personalities?
Yeah, definitely. It's just kind of what comes out naturally when we perform, I guess.
Yeah, we don't put a huge amount of thought into what we're gonna do. We'll go around and shop at some costume shops or thrift stores or whatever, and try to come up with cool props and costumes for the stage, and we just have fun.
Yeah, it's just kind of us expressing, what we're feeling.
Right. Yeah, I do notice that through a lot of the pictures I see online, you guys are wearing a lot of different, types of, costumes and clothing, depending on a lot of your different shows,
Yeah, just whatever we're feeling like at the time. Nothing really more complex than that.
It's better than having a job where you can dress up. It's like I used to have an office job, and they'd be like, "Oh, on Fridays you can wear jeans," But it's like that every day. It's like you can wear whatever we want.
Hawaiian shirt Fridays or whatever.
Yeah, right.
So
might as well,
Yeah. Yeah, it's just kind of whatever the mood is what we're doing at any given time.
But you do
not a lot of thought goes into it.
Right, but you do have, a bit of like a, sort of a dark comical sort of, look going on. Where does that come from?
Well,
from our black heart.
I think it comes from, a lot of my influence as a performer, I think, comes from my grandpa, Bernie Jones, my adopted grandpa, who was a performer all his life. He was he was a professional musician, and he performed vaudeville and burlesque and polka and kind of some punk rock stuff for his day. He was a member of the Spike Jones troupe.
Yeah.
Which it was very experimental. They did all sorts of crazy stuff. And his was one of the first things I ever saw as a kid that I would consider performance. It was at a house party. I don't really remember where I was. I was probably in California. He lived in Hollywood all his life. But I was at this house party, and he did just a little performance.
Yeah.
Right there in the living room. He put on a hat, this particular hat, and he became this character called Ole Svensson with a perfect Swedish accent. And he told jokes, and he sang, and he danced, and he played instruments, and he got everyone to sing along. And he was just a big clown, and it was very intelligent, and a little dark. And I think that probably stuck with me, and I didn't even realize until much later that I was really emulating him. And when I started playing music, it was a little bit of a dedication to him. And then when I named the band One-Eyed Doll, it was in reference to him. He had one eye.
Okay.
But yeah, he was fabulous, and I think looking back, I think that's probably a lot of influence, both visually and energetically. I think that's probably where a lot of it comes from.
Yeah, I like that.
And I lived in China.
Okay.
Before I started the band, and so I think that there's a little bit of Asian influence there. But those two things probably mixed together to create whatever it is that we got going on.
Right. Yeah, I love that idea of almost building a character within yourself as almost like a vessel to, kind of spout some things going on inside of you, artistically or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of my social commentary, I guess, and inner dialogue. Some people can paint or whatever, and I just write, I guess.
As being a woman, like in a kind of male dominated rock industry, do you ever feel any sort of just weirdness or pressures or anything from that standpoint?
Yeah. I think if you talk to any girl, we all get that in whatever career we're pursuing. But yeah, I do. There have been some kind of difficult times with that, but there are also, in contrast, there are also great things that come with being a girl in a mainly male field. So you take the good with the bad and make the most of it.
Right. How did the One-Eyed Doll project originally come about? I know you mentioned where you got the name, but how did you guys kind of come together?
Well, I had when I started playing music, I was just a singer-songwriter girl with an acoustic guitar, playing it whatever space would have me. I did a lot of in the very, very beginning. I was playing on street corners, and there were a couple of soup kitchens.
Okay.
That would have me, and then I kind of worked my way into open mic nights and coffee shops and a couple of bars in Eugene, Oregon, and just kind of playing wherever I could. And then I started a band shortly after that. And because of my time playing at the soup kitchens and all that, I had a nickname. The people in line at the soup kitchen, there were a lot of homeless people up there. They would say, here comes the princess of the ghetto, come to play us a song. They would sing along. Sometimes I'd have, like a barbershop quartet style thing where these homeless people all be singing along, and
right.
It was really cute. And we'd all have a really good time in line for our soup. And so I called the band Ghetto Princess, and that started out over in Eugene, and we basically ended up in Austin, Texas, on our first tour, which was just really punk rock, really, we had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
And then, we ended up in Austin, over the course of recording our first album, which happened to be at Jason's studio, and he had a studio in Austin when we met. I lost all my band members before the album came out, and by the time the album came out, I rededicated the band. I called it One-Eyed Doll. We released the album as I released the album under the band name One-Eyed Doll, and it was a fresh start. Like, you know what? I'm not the princess of the ghetto anymore. I'm moving forward. I'm gonna try to make Bernie proud, Grandpa Bernie, and I'm gonna do this as well as I can, and not live in the past, and just keep moving forward. And it was kind and that's what that was. And then over, over the next few years, I kept going back to Jason's studio to record, and we had several albums together, solo albums and One Eyed Doll albums both. And then eventually he joined the band, and we've just been gung-ho ever since, and just been working really hard and touring nearly nonstop. So it's been really good. And he's been my longest standing band member. There have been a lot of people coming and going, and the band started out as a 3-piece band, and then it was a 4-piece band.
Yeah. We
were actually a 4-piece band for a while. And then it was back to a 3-piece, and then it was a 2-piece, and then it was a 1-piece. And then it was a 3-piece again, and there have been a lot of lineup changes over the years, but and the reason that we started doing a 2-piece lineup was because I lost 2 members at once.
Right.
I was like, man, we have shows that are booked. We're not canceling the shows. We have to play the shows. And so my drummer and I just jammed out some stuff that sounded cool as a 2-piece, and we're like, well, we'll just get by with this and get through it. And at first it was really scary. I felt naked on stage almost.
Yeah.
Just, providing all of the melody myself, and I just, I didn't know what I was doing yet. I could hardly really play guitar that well, and but I wrote the riffs to be kind of chunky and to sound good with just the drummer and me.
Yeah.
And I set up, for the first several shows that we played as a 2-piece, I set up cardboard cutouts of the former members of my band and set little fake instruments in front of them, and would talk to them and blame them for messing up. And so I had someone to interact with on stage. And, I used them so much that they fell into pieces. And then it was just the drummer and me left. And I eventually got really comfortable with the 2-piece lineup, and I wrote more and more music that sounded good with 2 people. And that's mostly what we play live, is the music that I wrote for that purpose.
Right.
And, over the years since then, we've had different lineups, and, sometimes we'll bring a friend on tour, sometimes we'll have guests play with us, but the core is Jason and me, and I think it's a really solid core, and it's really fun, and I kind of like the minimal thing.
Right.
It's not what I set out to do, but it worked out that way.
Yeah, it just happened. Yeah, it's really great it's really great that with such a minimal lineup, you're still able to do such a maximal sound.
Oh, thank you. I blame Jason for that. He's responsible, I think.
Right.
Yeah, well, I feel like Kim writes riffs that are almost like bass lines.
Yeah.
So, but they have the she's playing it with a guitar, and she tunes down her guitar, a little bit, so it's got that low end, and we're using these Black Star amps that are really good with just making a really huge sound. So I think we can pull it off.
And my guitar too. I have back in the day, I used to get just whatever cheapest pawn shop guitar I could find and modify it myself.
Right.
I would stick magnets behind the pickups and stuff in order to get a bigger tone out of the cheap equipment that I was using.
Right.
And now I have a signature guitar, and it's made to my specifications, and it sounds the way that I want it to sound, and it's awesome. It's made by Tregan, Tregan, Tregan Guitars, and so that, and we're with Seymour Duncan pickups. I have my Invader and the Black Star amps, and it's just kind of a and we have we're with Theodario strings now. So I have this awesome combination of things that I used to really have to piece together with modifications on a zero budget. So I feel really blessed with that now. It's really cool. I never imagined I would be so lucky, but I think a lot of our sound comes from, the awesome equipment that we get to use too.
Right. Yeah, that was something that I really noticed on Witches was, like Jason just said, those riffs, they kind of sound very bass-line-esque, That was something that really stuck out.
Oh, yeah, I guess I do. I never really thought of it that way, but I guess I do kind of play the guitar more like a bass. I guess that's just how I can. I play very simplistically, and I don't do a lot of noodling or anything like that. I'm really more riffy. I'm
right.
more of a riffy person. On the albums, obviously we do record in bass and lots of other instruments, keys, and actually on Witches you hear a lot of violin, right?
Right.
That's Damien Soul. Damien SOL Soul. He's our buddy who lives in the Bay Area. He was actually our light guy for the Witches tour. No, the one before that.
Yeah, we went out
with Psychostick. It was the tour before that.
Okay.
He was our light guy, so he was lighting up the stage every night. But he is a very accomplished violinist. He's been playing since he was like 3, and he's a prodigy. And so we had him come over and lay down all of the strings on the album. It's beautiful. I love his style. Whenever I hear those strings come in, I can just see him playing. It's great.
Okay, let's talk about this tour that you're about to embark on. What's a One-Eyed Doll show like?
Well, are you going to come to our Detroit show? You're in the Detroit area, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, well, we're going to be in the area at the Token Lounge on September 29th.
Yeah.
So you can come for yourself and see what a One-Eyed Doll show is like. But, it's hard for us to describe what it's like. We just have a lot of fun. And
live we play as a two-piece, usually. There might be some surprises. And, normally our show is a two-piece show. Sometimes we have a friend come play with us, a friend or two, if we feel like it. We have...
We tour with a full-time light guy now, so that's
we're actually, we have a little bit of a production crew.
Okay.
So we're trying to make it more and more of a show. We've got like stage fog and lights, and
lasers,
and so I'll usually do a lot of have like a little box full of hats and toys that I'll go through and use during the set, and we try to get a lot of crowd interaction and sing along kind of stuff going on, and we try to just make it really fun. A lot of times in the studio we can get really serious, but the shows are fun.
Right.
We just, usually, I'm infamous for not using the set list, but sometimes I do, and the songs that I choose are usually just the ones that make you want to jump up and down and smile, because I like to see people smiling. So we just try to have a good time at shows, and then right after our set, what we always try to do is go straight to the merch table and have meet and greet and meet everybody who wants to say hi to us and sign things and do pictures. And we've got our merch girl, Melinda, back there, and she's super, super cute, and everybody always wants to say hi to her, too, and give her all of their hard-earned money. She's magical, I'm telling you.
Right.
And, you know, we have a good time. And then, you know, in the past, we've had our VIP party after that. But this next tour, we're having it before the show. So you won't have to stay up until 4 in the morning to hang out with us on this tour.
Right.
We were just going to do this, you know, like an hour before doors or so. We'll get together with our VIPs, who are our patrons, basically.
Yeah.
Who are helping us actually make this tour happen. And hang out, maybe, you know, grab some food or, you know, chill somewhere, like either in the bus or in the club before doors open or wherever. And it's just really like a fun, casual hangout. Not like the, you know, shake hands, take picture, sign poster, leave kind of thing. We really kind of hang out and try to get to know these people. And, yeah. I always really enjoy. It's one of my favorite things about touring is our meet and greets. We have our general meet and greet and then our super special VIP one. And those are where all the memories happen, you know?
Right.
Yeah, so I've got some just really special fans. There still are people out there who support music and who make it a big part of their life and their being, you know?
Right.
And it's really cool to be able to meet those people. I have so much respect for them because they're keeping it alive.
Right. Yeah, and I think when a band actually acknowledges that, it makes it even more special for those fans.
Aw. I guess it goes both ways then.
Yeah, it is. It actually does, because like when it's you know it's the little things sometimes with a fan. You know, even if you just like retweet a tweet or something like that, you know, it does go a long way with the fans. You know, and I was looking on your website, like the store on there. You have just a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of merchandise. It looks fantastic. You know, so I really, you know, this whole, you know, DIY aspect of this band is really, you know, looks really good.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I used to make all of our merch by hand, all of it.
Right.
T-shirts, everything. And now, you know, I obviously can't do all of it. Basically, since we started touring so heavily, you know, I'm not in one place very long to be able to make things, but I still do small batches of things, you know, for the people who are into that, and I enjoy it. It allows me to have another creative outlet.
Yeah.
I'll make little trinkets and sometimes do a run of old school bleach shirts or spray paint shirts or bandanas or whatever, and you know, it's fun. It's fun for me. You know, what's really cool, too, is that our merch girl, Melinda, is also a crafty little vixen. And she's been making cute little things for the merch table, too. And I love it.
Oh, wow.
So it's a good mixture, you know?
Right. I can't wait to meet the merch girl.
last tour, we actually went in with a couple of artists on merch table stuff. Last tour was the Witches tour. It was the album release tour.
Yeah.
And this guy, Sean Hathaway, made magic wands. And so we had these really amazing, beautiful, handmade magic wands on the merch table. And, you know, we're able to support his art with that. And he's supporting us with it. And it's really cool. I really like also working with other artists who are inspired by the band, you know, and get some of their art sold as well. So it's really cool. I think that I'll always probably have a handmade element. That's where we came from.
Right.
You know, in the very beginning, in the early days, I just dumpster dove for materials for all of our merch. I would paint up. I would paint up tin cans and find, you know, discarded clothing and tear it apart and remake it, and just anything that I could put together that I could call merch. You know, I would just make art out of things. And that's really where we came from. So, you know, I think that'll always be a part of what we do.
Right. Yeah, that's just a great idea of just having sort of, you know, community.
Yeah, I mean, it's really rewarding for everyone. It's so rewarding for us, and then it's rewarding for the artists because, you know, I know how hard it is to sell your art. But we have an audience for that. So now, you know, we can help and get some talented people, you know, money and recognition for their art. That's really important, you know, because we have a platform for it. And the fans, they get to find new artists to follow. For example, our Witches album, you notice the beautiful artwork. You know, that started out as somebody sending us fan art.
Okay.
And us thinking that was so cool that we eventually met up with him and devised that he would be our album artist. And we put out a comic book together. Yeah. And lots of T-shirts and prints and everything. And he has this whole fan base from doing all that stuff of our fans that now follow him and buy his artwork, and you know, he's kind of become a part of our family. So it's always, I think it's great to collaborate and mix it up with different kinds of artists. Because, man, I can't draw. And he's not going to sing. So, you know, we put that all together, and this really cool stuff happens that might not have existed before. So it's cool.
Right, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks for the interview. Yeah, thanks for shooting the shit with me, do this interview. I'm really excited to come see the show.
Oh, great. Yeah, just, we'll put you on the guest list as press. Just, you know, let us know if you want to bring somebody along and whatever. Make sure Jason has that info so you're on our list at the show. We really appreciate you covering the show and helping get the word out. You know, we just recently started headlining our own tours, so pressure's on.
Yeah, you know, it's hard to get people out of their house and away from their TVs and out into the real world to do something. So
right.
We're struggling every day to like pack the house and make, you know, every show really cool.
Yeah, so you are really appreciated. We really appreciate, and you know, for actually listening to the album and doing some research.
Right.
That is really special, and that's really rare.
I know. I know, man. I'll even say this, is that I know a lot of music journalists, music writers, most of the time don't know shit about what they're interviewing.
Yeah, they're like, to be honest, I was just assigned this interview with you guys, and I have no idea what you're like.
Explain yourself.
Yeah, explain to me.
I don't know.
Sometimes I lie.
You do it when I don't.
I'm like, yeah, we're a hip-hop country trio.
Believe you me, man, I know that.
We mostly play weddings, and
I know all the foolery that goes on with a lot of these writers and stuff that do these interviews. I just, for the most part, don't like to associate with so many people because of that.
I mean, I understand. It's like, you know, you have so much work to do. You can't spend all your time researching, I guess. I have no idea. I don't know.
Believe me, it does not take that long to get some just simple information down. It really doesn't take that long. That's why I'm like, oh my, come on. At least just know the name of the damn album, or at least, or something.
Yeah. You know, it keeps us humble. Not everybody cares about what we're doing. And then you lift us back up, you know, with your encouragement. And I think that, you know, there has to be this counterbalance.
Right.
Of people who don't give a rat's booty.
Well,
people who.
Well, I'm glad. I was able to lift your spirits a little bit.
Yeah, you were super cool. I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah, I had a great time talking with you guys. This was a really fun interview. You know, I interviewed a lot of people recently, but this was really a fun interview.
Oh, great! I'm so glad. I enjoyed it too. Sorry, I'm a little long-winded today. I don't know what's gotten into me. I think I'm just stoked that you listened to the album. So.
It's all good. That's fine, man. It's fine. So that was an interview with Kimberly Freeman and Junior of the band One-Eyed Doll. I just cannot say enough good things about them. They're just really cool, genuine people. I highly recommend that you go give them a listen, especially the new album, Witches. Hell, they have a whole back catalog of great music. You can go to oneeyeddoll.com to check it all out. They have a ton of merch. Some of it they hand make. It's like super DIY. They're really fucking cool, and they're just two nice fucking people. So yeah, that was the second episode of Fresh is the Word. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the support. There's other ways you can support the podcast too. Go to the website, freshasthepodcast.com. There's a link at the top that says support the podcast. From there, there's a PayPal link you can use if you want to shoot me some pennies. Also, if you shop on Amazon, use the Amazon link that I have on the website, and Amazon will shoot me back a little commission for any purchases you make using that link. It doesn't cost you anymore, but it does help support the podcast. Also, if you want to connect with us online, we're on Twitter and Instagram at freshastheword1. That's fresh as the word, then the number 1. We're on Facebook. Just search Fresh is the Word, and that page will come up. Just give us a like. Then also, we're now on iTunes, so go ahead and just search Fresh is the Word, and you can subscribe to the podcast, so it just automatically downloads to your devices. And we're also on Stitcher Radio, so you can go ahead and search Fresh is the Word also on there. Again, thanks for the support, thanks for the listens, and see you soon.
Fresh is the word.